I'm making this a lot harder on myself that I'm doing this for like maybe the second time because the first time I did this wasn't really good. And I guess it's literally the last day of the year, and I guess I'm doing this now. So if the video comes out like in a couple days, Happy New Year. But other than that, let's get to the point. Hi everyone. This year, 2022, has basically come to an end. It is, like I mentioned, it's the last day of the year, December 31st, 2022, 7:48 p.m. Pacific. And I guess this video will function sort of similar to last year's video, where I guess it's more of like a reflection, but unlike the last one where it was just like a span of like 3 to 4 years, this is just a span of this year alone. And I guess this is not more of an update to the channel, since like I've already made that last year and I don't need to do another one again, and probably never at all, because now my upload schedule is like very sporadic. But this one will be a little bit will be slightly, like I said, like slightly similar to last year's, but a little bit different. So I'm just basically running down through the whole year as to what happened to me, and then all the content that I've created so far this past year, which is basically like barely any, which is like max 5 videos. But anyways, so let's get started with how the year went for me. So January, and I guess I'll touch on it more, the winter quarter has been a bit very stressful. Considering that Omicron was like basically peaking at that point, and beginning of like many COVID scares that basically came around like so often, is that basically a lot of things didn't really happen in January, but the main thing was that a lot of things, and by a lot of things I mean everything, went online for basically that entire month of January. And the worst part was that that particular January was also the start of the winter quarter, which in turn was the start of the banquet season for the Chinese Student Association and UCSC. Now obviously it was definitely like a great experience just to lead a sort of planning and execution of a really big event for the club. I found it very successful, very rewarding at the end of it all. And it was just that like the fact that a lot of things, how we had to work was all online, was like very stressful, and definitely took a bit of a toll on me. But other than that, January went on okay despite all that. Then February came around, and I think it was a slight improvement since it went back in person. We were able to work on everything back into person. Obviously more COVID scares, and along with that, like it was basically a rush into making sure that we get everything ready within like 4 weeks. But other than that, I think that was like a very successful venture of how winter quarter went. Banquet went around, and the event itself was outdoors, considering that it was like the first big event, or at least the first time for that particular event to be back in person after after a year of quarantine. It was definitely like a big accomplishment that we were able to we, as in the officers, along with me and my banquet coordinator, that we were able to get everything back into person despite many difficult encounters with the school over the COVID restrictions, which is understandable but also frustrating to move around. It was still very rewarding to see how the final product went through. The performances were amazing. The performance that I made was definitely pretty good. It's probably the best I've done in terms of singing. but that was like the third time I've sung in front of like a live audience. Like this next year will be a bit difficult since I'm most likely gonna do 2 songs, but I do think that the past banquet was definitely a big success, and I'm really proud of how it went. And then the rest of that quarter into March was basically smooth sailing from there. Moving on to spring quarter is when things started to heat up a lot. A spring quarter meaning the span of like the very end of March, I think, to the middle of June. I think sort of my goal to really start to become just the normal college student instead of just being like a college student as well as an officer for a club. I just wanted to like start to interact with people more, and I set that goal sort of like at the beginning. And I did. I hung out with more people throughout the quarter. It was actually the most fun I've had during that year, along with the banquet season, or at least the banquet event itself. And then like that's how I was able to, or at least find the like people that I really like to hang around with, whether it be like from the freshman level to the senior level of classmates, basically. But I guess this is where the start of where I start to head into and focus more into the production side of the film. Because up until spring quarter, I only had film classes that were basically theory-based, critical studies-based, history-based, etc., where it's just a lot of papers and all. This particular quarter, I enrolled into a production class, basically introductory production class. You have to apply into that class, which is frustrating to say the least for many people. I, for one, opted to wait until that quarter to actually get in. I know like in my fall quarter I could have done it, but I at that point wasn't too confident in going into a production course right away, because I don't believe that like I didn't think I had like the right timing to get into that class. So that production class was one of the big points of that quarter, mainly because not only does it set the stone of where I want to go, the starting stone of the production concentration that I could theoretically go into, but also the production courses along the way until I'm done with my major degree, my diploma. And so in that class I did 2 projects, one of which was a mini documentary. That one was about, that little documentary is 5 minutes 14 seconds. So that little documentary was just like the topic is surrounding public transportation in America.
Ride the bus with us.
In comparison to what it's like in like places like Taiwan. I showcased a few like case studies around the nation. Like for example, I did the BART in the Bay Area, which to be honest, it kind of definitely improved. I think the quality improved that mass transit system over the years. So I feel like that sort of info was like a little slightly outdated, but like I understand there were still some issues going into that mass transit. And there were other case studies like Miami, where it's all going into the center, and then meanwhile there's also places where it's just like basically all the lines of the metro system is coming into one central area and they don't connect within each other. And then I also used Santa Cruz as another case study, using 2 of my friends' interviews and their perspectives over the Santa Cruz metro system, which is the bus system that's complete dog shit, along with the mass transit bus system of the Loop and UCSC, which is also not that good. And also how accessibility is like still an issue for Santa Cruz students. But that's that video. The second video was a narrative video that is not that good, if I'm being honest. That film is a narrative video where I dive into the mental health of a college student overthinking and anxiety. Basically, it's a nightmare sequence too. It's also touching surrealism. That narrative was, to be honest, not that good, considering that I had to plan this up like last minute or like a week before, filmed it a week before, because like not only was I busy, I was also like had no idea what I wanted to go with the narrative. I like blanked out a lot during that sequence. I think that video could have done better if I had better planning, as well as like a good an actual script. Like literally all of that was basically improv in my head. The one thing I wanted to change for sure about like planning different like short films is that I definitely need a storyboard, shot listing, an actual script, which I will get into later, and that's where the point where I kind of want to get more actors into the sequence too. So that is my narrative. It's not that good. I do think I edited pretty well, and for those who don't know, my expertise is editing. I know where and what needs to be cut and what can be added VFX wise. And now moving on, I didn't really touch too much on the club because that wasn't really like a big aspect of that quarter, besides like one event where we have to set up an event as the underclassmen to celebrate the graduating seniors, graduating students. That was like another thing too, considering that I am also, or I was, an undergraduate officer who's not senior. I along with like 5 to 6 other, I think. Man, I've lost count. I don't know. Just the other underclassmen officers led the way with other underclassmen too in creating the event similar to banquet. And then for me specifically, I had to help out with the little skit a little bit. I think I only helped with like camera work, cinematography. Yeah, that.
Ah!
And then also the interviews, which I played much more of a hand over because well, I don't like to say my camera because technically it's not mine, but it's still a camera I use passed on to from my parents. But basically both videos, I should say, are like little things that I did for that event.
又好搞笑，因為佢成日即係講粗口。Yeah.
Any examples?
Sorry, I don't.
And that event to send the seniors off is definitely like it was definitely like shown that like damn, they're really leaving, and yes, they are gone, they have graduated. So we all definitely miss them dearly because like now they're off to whatever they are gonna do now with their lives, and we all wish them really well. Is there anything else in spring quarter? Oh yeah, lots and lots of COVID scares. Like holy fuck, a lot of people like that I interacted with closely got COVID, and I could have sworn I got COVID during or at the end of spring quarter, but it turns out I didn't, and apparently that luck will eventually run out very soon. Okay, anyways, oh, I did forget to mention, there was a little film I did for Banquet 2. I played a lot of hand on because when I was advising that sort of committee, basically a producer, and B, a lot of utilization of the camera I use. Moving on, summer. Summer wasn't too eventful, mainly because given where I live, I didn't really leave too much from home. I did do like a sort of internship for about a month, if I remember correctly, and that internship was basically like making a sort of concept, a plan with a group, pitching. Let me rephrase that. It is pitching a concept like a TV series, animated series, movie. That sort of internship taught me a lot about how to promote a sort of concept and how to pitch it to any executives who want to see what are some good ideas to sell. Because obviously pitching an idea is like the hardest thing to get anything for one story to even go into the public eye while also getting money, which as a filmmaker I understand it's like the hardest thing in the fucking world. But that was that. My group did like sort of like investigative crime live action series where it also had a little focus towards mental health. I think it went pretty well. For that summer though, not too much has happened as well. Besides until like the end portion, like August, where I traveled to like Hawaii as a vacation, and then eventually we went down to SoCal to drop my brother off for his freshman year of college. And yeah, I would say like summer was like not that eventful. I did hang out with a few people, but that's basically it. Moving on to fall, where I enter my third year now as an upperclassman. Man, saying that really made me feel really fucking old. Fall quarter is by far the most stressful quarter that I've ever done, while being one of the most fun. It's basically the quarter that I've started to experience more new things as well. There are like a few things I can list. One, I am not an officer for a club, which one would say relieving, but also like another would say like, damn, I kind of missed that feeling. But in the end, this year I am a historian for the Chinese club, and I just take pictures for that club now, along with 3 other people. Along with that, B is that I went to an event outside of school. I went to a rave, which was pretty fun. I've never been to like a rave concert thing, and so that was pretty fun. See, I get to experience COVID. Get it? See, I got COVID. But yeah, COVID was not fun. After that rave, I got COVID. I know for a fact I got it from there. There is like no like other reasoning as to where I got it, but for sure I got it from there. And then the film production classes that I've been to, or at least the one that I was in, was by far the most painful and I guess stressful experience I've ever had in my life. The majority of fall quarter has been basically that particular class. It is the narrative video workshop class, where you basically spend the entire quarter planning out, writing out, filming, and editing out one short film that is no more than 10 minutes. It's basically under 10 minutes. Essentially, that class was not too easy for me. Probably like psychologically as well. Because in that class you need to find a crew, a cast, and then you have to keep showing it to your class. And I've done this before where it's like you have to find people and then show it to the class at your finished project at the end. But that was high school. In high school it was easier because like you are very close to many people already, and you're not afraid to like say hey, do you want to do it? And also like the people that I did it in high school are all classmates who are in the same class, so that they already have to be graded for it anyways, so they have to put in the work too. For this case, while you can work with your classmates, everyone has their own project to worry about too. And also, this adds on to how I don't have that many connections within the film department. It added on to like, damn, who can I ask for help? Who can I ask for like help to act, help for, I guess, crew. Crew is not the hard part because I already knew one person who can help me with camera operating. The issue was finding a cast. I had to ask 2 clubs, which are funny enough not film clubs, because the film clubs in UCSC, while they have their own goals, their own ambitions of what they want to do. My personal issue is that there isn't that much hands-on moments where I'm needed until like a certain point in time. The problem is, like, especially for one club, they won't tell you until you are needed, and so basically like I can't really rely on them too much. So luckily, one of the classmates that I became friends with was able to hook me up with 2 actors, and I was able to find an actor of my own through the 2 clubs that I attended throughout this quarter. So I was able to get that done. I was very excited to use the little studio that the film department had in their building up until the wall outlets didn't work. So we had to, or no, not the wall outlets, more like the power strips didn't turn on. So like it wasn't very fun. And I throughout that production process, I was just like, do I really need to reshoot anything? And I'm just like, no, I'm not reshooting anything, because like already casting people stressed the hell out of me. The production stage was by far the most stressful. A lot of people have told me that the production part is the most stressful. But for me, this is the first time I've had to this is like the first time where I've had to do a production with people I straight up do not know. So it wasn't very fun. For me, that is, because like, I guess maybe it's because it's like a first time thing. I don't like to say like it's very fun. Now that I think about it, just saying like it's not very fun to me might sting for the people that I worked with. It's just that personally for me, it's the first time that I've had to ask a lot of favors with people. And so I just said like, you know what? You just do that and then you'll be good, honestly. And like, I feel like I learned a lot from that class alone. Like, 1, how to properly script out a narrative. 2, having like the assistance of your classmates and try to not be afraid to sort of ask for help, which I didn't ask for help in that class. I probably should have, but I don't. And see, this is the reason why I said this is sort of stressful. I don't like asking people for favors, because like I feel bad for wasting their time for me. So, but I guess it's like something I still need to overcome as like a film student too, because I have to do this again. And also I get to learn how it feels to really have all the equipment while also filming something. So I think that this class has been very eye-opening, and I definitely won't forget that. I talked to the professor about how I felt in that class and how like I felt very stressed over it, and I'm honestly glad that I did, because it made me relieved that he also felt sort of the same way. I guess it's sort of like an experience thing, but I guess that's how it really goes. But yeah, that class, I still met a lot of great people, and I like to say that this class of 11 people actually was still one of a fun experience, because just interacting with it and having it be like as close as it was like something else. And then I guess that's it for that film part. And then another thing I like to add is like the Chinese class that I have been attending since basically last year. I started to get close to some of the classmates from last year a lot more this quarter, and I do think it's doing fairly well. Also, like, the teacher is really nice, and it's like it's really fun. Just don't ask me about how whatever the fuck any of those characters mean or say. I do want to end this video by acknowledging that thanks for at least watching this like long ass video again. The last sort of reflection video, I edited down to 16.5 minutes. I feel like this might be less because I've rambled on a little too much on certain things. Unless it's the same length, then I apologize. But I do want to acknowledge, like, you made it through, and I'm happy that you did. Secondly, I sort of wanted to use this sort of ending to say what I want to change for the next year. Next year, I want to find many different ways to improve myself. This past summer, I didn't really do that. Summer is supposed to be like a place where you have a lot of time to sort of find new life skills, or at least more time to find new life skills, and as well like ways to change yourself. I did not do that. I stayed home. So this next year, I wanted to try some few things. Like, first, I started getting a little bit interested in sort of making different like teas. Like, for example, I like Hong Kong style milk tea as well as Thai tea. I want to sort of try to make these new teas that I have started to drink more of, and try to make it when I'm over at SC again, maybe as well as at home here. Secondly, I wanted to try to really change up my diet a lot. BMI wise, I am not doing so hot. I am slightly underweight, 125 to 130 range. Pounds, by the way. I do not know how much in kilograms, but it's still bad. I am 6 foot tall. That's still underweight. So I want to try to at least eat more healthy things too. Like, a lot of my friends have been telling me you gotta eat healthy, like, but I'm just like, So I will say this on record. I'll try to. I know I'm saying try, which is like saying I'm gonna half-ass it, but I'm just putting this on record because I guess it's a motivator. I guess you could say that this is like New Year's resolution, and to be honest, it kind of is. But like, it's like weird as fuck. And then thirdly, I want to like exercise more. I haven't really exercised too much, and I'm still skinny, so I think I would like to use that time to really change a lot of things about myself. So yeah, I guess the moral of this like whole year is that like I've experienced a lot of new things finally in college, and after one full year in person in college, being alone out of the house, and now going into technically my second year out of the house, it just shows that I need to still improve on what I want to do, look into the future more, and find different ways to better myself. And yeah, that's basically it. Thank you for watching this long ass video again. I'm probably gonna do this annually too, sort of like a reflection over the year. And yeah, be sure to also look through like the videos I've made, along with the covers I started to do. The covers I've done recently, I kind of want to start to do a little bit more. And you will also notice like a little like Mind Fan year. There are two specifically that I did on the piano in 2021 of that summer. And then there are two over the course of fall where I decided to do them and then upload it onto YouTube. So those are 4 covers. I am also thinking of doing like another cover 2 next year. I don't know. Or more covers over the next year. I don't know. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching, and yeah, if you want to subscribe, go ahead. I don't really care. All I really care about is that you just watch the stuff I make. That is all. And at least just also give me some feedback too, please. Alright, that's it. Thank you. Bye bye.
與學書一起對抗，若需要再毀，不至心慌。 ごめんなさい。